Hey everybody, RetroPie Guy here. Today I want to take a minute to just stop and thank everybody for the continued support on here. We're going to do a brief little channel update. It's been a couple months since the last channel update. We recently passed 2,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. So again, definitely want to reach out. Thank you all so much for subscribing, for watching the videos, for interacting with me here on YouTube. It has just been a wonderful experience here. And I just want to thank you all again so much for the continued support. And I also want to say, don't ever feel like you're bothering me if you comment on videos or you have questions or anything like that. I'm always happy to assist and help you guys out any way that I can. Just feel free to comment on the videos that you have a question about, or reach out to us through the website. It doesn't matter if you place an order with us. It doesn't matter if you've parted with your hard-earned money and supported us that way. It makes no difference at all. I'm happy to help anybody regardless of the size of your wallet or anything like that. I could care less about money. So thank you all again. But I want to reach out and also give you guys an update on everything that I've been working on. So you see the videos, you see that we're doing tutorials, we're doing product reviews to keep you up to date on really cool products that are available in the retro gaming world. And then we're doing gameplay demos just to kind of show off the capabilities of various gaming options. But one of the things that I've been working on kind of behind the scenes is I'm in the process of building a retro gaming PC. So what that's going to do is it's actually going to give us access to those later collections that we just aren't able to do anything with on RetroPie. So I have no issue with RetroPie. If you couldn't tell by the name, I love RetroPie. I love the Raspberry Pi products. All of them, they're all phenomenal. But we do run into an issue where we max out the capabilities of a Raspberry Pi 4. They are working on the Raspberry Pi 4 Model A, and they're also in the process of getting started with the Raspberry Pi 5. So we have very limited information as to what those are going to bring forward to us, especially for emulation, but I'm definitely hopeful that we'll get some additional capabilities in terms of what collections and games we can get into there. So it's a wait and see sort of situation with RetroPie right now. We'll do the best we can with whatever they put out, and we'll take it from there. But for all the people that have been reaching out asking me, how do we get into GameCube games? How do we get into PlayStation 2 games? How do we get into Xbox, Wii, and so on? Well, those are some amazing collections, a lot of which I grew up playing. So it's definitely been something that I want to get into. I want to try to explore how we go about getting into those games, because there's so many games just sitting on the sidelines right now that the average person isn't really able to dive into. So a couple things I've been doing is testing out reliable ROMs so I can get into figuring out a PC console setup. But I've been using an Android tablet for a lot of that, just to test out the ROMs. The issue with the Android tablet is you don't have a lot of storage space. So you can get all these classic games, or I won't say all of them, but a lot of them, depending on the capabilities of your tablet. But the biggest issue you run into is you can't store that many of them because you have a limited amount of space, even if you're using micro SD cards or additional things like that to store your ROMs. So what I've been trying to do is figure out a console system that we're able to go in and play all these different collections. I'm not so much worried about including Super Nintendo, NES, and all of that, because we can utilize our regular Raspberry Pi 4 setup for that, and it works phenomenally well. So with a PC setup, it's going to be obviously a bigger console itself. You can't get any smaller than a Raspberry Pi 4, which is, 3 inches by 2.5 inches or something like that. This is going to be much bigger because we have to accommodate the additional power that's required to get into these collections. So been figuring that out, and I've had a lot of success with that. The biggest issue, believe it or not, is trying to figure out which games to include on this, because these are massive collections. And the thing about games is, on our RetroPie systems, we're able to put on 24,000 or 15,000 games, but that's because these older retro games, I call them, the early collections like NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Master System, all that stuff, the games are really small. So it's not games that have really broad level of graphics. They usually don't have a ton of levels to those games. Let's take Donkey Kong, the original Donkey Kong, for example. I think there's 3 levels on that game. So it takes up just a tiny amount of space on a micro SD card. Whereas something for GameCube, which has pretty advanced graphics, and you might have, 30 levels in a game on a GameCube game, that's going to take up a lot more space. So let's take GameCube, for example. If we were to put on every single GameCube game, which I can actually track down ROMs and do that, we would exceed what we could possibly fit on any type of PC. So it's been a game of trying to figure out which games get included, which games don't get included for all of these awesome systems like GameCube, PlayStation 2, Wii, and so on. So that's been the toughest thing so far, is just trying to find a balance and figuring out what games go in, what games don't go in. And I think it'll be a starting point because we don't have to keep the games that get included. You can swap them out, you can make room for other ones, you can definitely customize this beyond what would be initially included. So I haven't quite figured out exactly what I'm going to do with that, but that's what's been in the works, and it's been really a fun experience just trying to figure everything out and go that route. So I've been using a Lenovo for this, which I actually have right here. It's pretty small actually. Let me see if I can just undo these connections. Obviously wasn't planning ahead to show you this, but pretty compact computer here. Obviously it's about 4 or 5 times bigger than a Raspberry Pi, but again, it is what it is. So this is it right here. It's I want to say it's about 10 inches tall and an inch wide, so it's really not bad. It's got a decent weight to it, but this is it. And you can actually use a variety of different computers. So I'm going to do some videos on how to set these up yourselves. You don't have to get it from me, but I will put out some that you can just get from me, and it'll have everything ready to go on here. It'll have the software built in, it'll have controllers, all the necessary cables and connections to get this going on your TV or monitor. So definitely think I'm going to put that together in the next couple of months and finalize that. But it's definitely a process, definitely a lot of work. It's not one of those things where you just download a fully blown image that's already been created, because as far as I know, there's no images that have been done for this yet. So it's definitely going to take a lot of time to get this up and running, especially since I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I definitely want to make it the best that I possibly can. So we'll definitely keep you updated on this, and it's going to take me a little bit more time to get everything finalized on here, but it's definitely going to be the right step in the right direction in terms of getting us access to these later retro game collections like GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Wii, and so on, that we just aren't able to get into currently. We can get into it in some systems right now, but not well. And Sega Saturn, that's another one that'll be included on here as well. So that's one that I get asked probably 5-6 times a day from people, how come we can't get Sega Saturn on RetroPie? And it's just super unstable. You can get into a handful of games, but usually ends up crapping out, and you don't want to get through one level of a game and then find out that you can't continue or whatever the case may be. So that's pretty much it for today. I just wanted to again just circle back with everybody, do a quick little channel update. Thank you all so much for the continued support, but also tell you guys what's in the works here, what I've been working on, and what I hope to bring forward to everybody. So and let me also ask you guys this. Since I'm letting you in on what I've been working on, if you're into GameCube, PlayStation 2, Sega Saturn, Xbox, I think is, on the line. I'm not sure if I'm going to go the Xbox route, because there is some great backwards capabilities with Xbox, currently out there. So I'm not sure if we'll do that one yet, but or if you're into these collections and you have a favorite game, hit me up in the comment section below and let me know what those games are, because like I said previously, the hardest time that I'm finding right now is just figuring out what games to include and what games, should be benched, so to speak, because, I'm putting in a massive SSD into these PCs, so I'm able to include a lot of games, but with such a massive difference in collections right now, I'm trying to get into about 5 or 6 different later retro gaming collections. It is hard to include all the games, and it's not just hard, it's impossible to include every single game for all these into one system without making a massive SSD go into this PC, and then it just blows it out to the point where it's so expensive that I don't think anybody would be able to afford it, or would want to part with that amount of money to have all of these games that realistically, at the end of the day, let's take the RetroPie collections, for example. We have a card that has 15,000 plus games, and we have one that has 24,000 plus games. How many of you have played every single game on those? Nobody has. Nobody could physically play all these games, but it is pretty cool to have access to them and have the ability to play them all. So that's the biggest issue right now. So if you have a favorite game for any of those collections, let me know, because I need some assistance on figuring out which games need to be included and which games, can definitely be left off. And again, that doesn't mean that this is going to be a system that, you can't customize, because we're going to do a starter system here. So basically that means that we'll put a handful of these collections together and we'll include a bunch of games for them, but you can easily go in and switch out games. You can delete games that you don't want and add in games that you do want. So it'll be a starting point for everybody. But again, let me know what your favorite games are for these collections, and I'll make sure that they're included on here. And it'll help everybody out. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you all so much for the time. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch my videos here and continue to support the channel. So thank you all so much. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to check us out online on our website, www.retropieguy.com, and I'll keep you guys updated on everything that I'm working on here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.